If you are a woman struggling with your husband or boyfriend, not taking you out on dates, that seems very passive, and then whenever you spend time together, it seems really bland. Like maybe you sit on the sofa together and both of you are on your phone, and then there is no romance and etc. Then this video is for you because you see, what happens is that many long-term relationships, we have this routine, we have this life together, and then we are just often interacting with each other in this energy of, hey, did you go to the supermarket? Did you get the milk? And who is going to get the dishes tonight? Who is going to cook tonight? What are we going to eat tonight? And then if you even have kids, like, oh, we need to take care of X, Y, Z, etc., etc. Then it can be very hard at times to reestablish the romance in the relationship. And while you might read many contents like, oh, scheduled dates, have intentional spending time together, etc., we all know that it's not really this easy. And what happens is that one of the things that many women actually ends up doing is that when they want to fix this and they go to their husbands and boyfriends to talk like, hey, like we should plan more dates and etc., or even worse, like, oh, you never take me on dates, the relationship doesn't have romance, etc., I don't feel like you care for me, etc. These are not really landing, and this is not really inspiring at all if you pay attention to it. Because if someone else would, for example, come to me and they say, oh, I want more romance, you're never taking me out, and the times we spend together, blah, 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 I would like not really feel romantic at all. I would actually feel like, I don't like this, I don't like to be criticized, and maybe am I not doing enough for the family or for you or etc. And then, like, some men, they might end up checking out and becoming even more passive. And some men, they might get defensive, like, hey, what do you mean? I have done a lot, and etc. Or then some, they are like butting heads with you, and then they just check out as well. So, how can you actually change this dynamic? Is that one thing about communication is that when we communicate, we can make it sound like a demand, really. Like, hey, I almost like I require more dates. Why are you not doing this? Or something like that. That feels like a demand, really, like a requirement. But when we can do it in a juicier manner, that sounds more like an invitation, a preview, really, to what you both can get to experience. Now, this changes the whole thing. Like, for example, if you go to your husband or boyfriend and say, hey, I saw this sushi restaurant. Look at this sushi. Isn't it delicious? Maybe we should go there sometime. And then what happens is that now you're eliciting this desire, like the other person, your husband or boyfriend, might start to look at this sushi, especially if he likes sushi. Then he would start to think, wow, this looks really delicious, and we might have a good time. Now you're sending this invitation to him, like, hey, maybe we should go there. And you're really letting him also make the decision to go there together. So now you're not really forcing him. Like, you're not forcing him to make a choice, but you're actually seducing him. Like, hey, this looks good, And then his mind, oh, wow, it looks good, and etc. And if you also show him really like how you might enjoy this. And wow, imagine that we are spending time together in this restaurant, and like we are trying together about this sushi and etc. And letting him know what you're anticipating in this experience, letting him know what you might desire from this experience. Like your desire then is really inviting him to, wow, I might want this, and then if I want this, then I might take initiative. So this is one of the things that you can do to eventually shift this dynamic. So now his brain is not thinking, oh, here she comes again with more demands, but actually, wow, she came up with something that looks really good. Maybe we should really give it a try. And you see, at first, you can start small with these little invitations. And then also, if your husband or boyfriend, let's say that he's not used to plan dates, but it is in your heart's desire that, wow, I really want him to take the lead to plan the dates. Like, I don't want to be this woman again for me to plan the dates, because, I've been there before in my past marriage. I wanted the date, but then I was often the one planning the whole thing and then communicated in a way that it's not really inviting, So then it's just going along with me. So if you really like in your heart's desire that, oh, I want him to plan dates, I want him to do these things, then you can actually start small by letting him know what you desire to experience. And you might even say, hey, this sushi restaurant is really good. Like, look at this. I would really want to taste this. And like, I would really love for you to take me out on a date like this, etc. And then, leave it for him to plan. Then he might like maybe in one day he'll say, hey, how about tonight we go there, and etc. So now you're actually letting him to take the lead without you having to fill the space and stepping up. Because one of the things that happens with women, and I've been there before, is that when we see, oh, but the other person is not doing anything, then I want things to happen, then I'll step it. And often we might not even give them much time, and then we are already stepping in. Like maybe like in a day or two, we are already taking the lead instead of leaving space for them to do it. Because, he might enjoy doing this, but then if he doesn't have the space to step up and to actually learn to step up, then he wouldn't really have this opportunity to learn to step up. And then you might feel like, oh, I have to step up again. And then it's not really what your heart truly desires. But then you can start small with these invitations and see what he does. And even if he doesn't do it in the perfect way, let's say that this juicy perfect way is that he one day says, hey, this weekend I'm going to take you to this sushi place and dress nicely, and I'm going to come pick you up at 8 or at 7, and then etc etc. Like he has all the things figured out, even if it's not really this perfect right away, because people take time to understand what is our desire also. Then you still can really appreciate and enjoy the fact that, okay, things are slowly shifting now. Because if you guys were used to the way that, oh, you never do this and that, and the other person reacts. Now, when you're beginning to shift, and then he also begins to have more receptivity towards what you desire, now you can go slow bit by bit. So you can start by appreciating his initial effort, really, that he paid attention to what you desire and actually took the initiative to propose and go there together. And then in the next times, you can start to let him know even more of what you desire. Like, hey, I would love you to plan the date like as if because I would feel really special, and then I could also prepare a special dress because I want to dress nicely, but it might take time. So maybe next time you can give me a day or two in advance so then I can, really prepare myself and dress up and etc. And then then it will register. So doing it bit by bit and changing the dynamic bit by bit, and really actually enjoying, like, wow, he's actually paying attention, like, wow, he's starting to take initiative, and acknowledge the small things that are starting to happen. Because sometimes we might also, okay, imagine that you want to go out, and then he actually took you to another sushi place that is not the one that you wanted, and maybe in that sushi place it's not as good or etc., but you can still appreciate the fact that he put in the effort and try to do something to make you happy. And then the next time you can say, hey, maybe can we go to this sushi restaurant because I want to try this specific dish from this restaurant. And then you let him know bit by bit what you desire and also what you actually appreciate. Because I can tell you that, for example, I sometimes have like these gifts that I gave to certain friends or relatives. And I thought that like it is what the other person wanted because it was what they said they wanted. So what happened was that because this person who received it was actually not a graceful receiver, as in, oh, I actually don't need it, like, oh, I might not use it after all, and etc. Instead of, appreciating the effort that I try to go out of my way to get this gift to this person, then deep down I felt like, I don't like this. Maybe I shouldn't have done this. Now I feels like I bothered the other person. So the same with a man. If he feels that, okay, I took her out on a date, but now it seems that it created more tension or she's not happy about it, then why bother? Or maybe like I should even avoid doing this because I want to avoid this kind of situation where we might fight or argue over this or that. You see, so when someone does something, of course, they also want to be appreciated. They want to make you happy, and then they also want to see you happy. Because for many men, you know, there is this beautiful thing about masculine energy is that they want to make us happy. Like inherently, they actually want to make us happy. But because they often don't know how to, and then they feel like, oh, I'm not doing enough or I'm actually not enough, then they are actually, okay, maybe it's better for me to not do anything. But then when they see that, wow, I did something and she's happy, they actually want to do more about it. And this is how, when I actually learned to shift the way I communicate my desires and how I actually express what I truly desire from them and from a place of genuine desire and vulnerability, it really lands differently. And when I learn to appreciate what the other person, the effort, the gift that they are bringing, even if it's not perfect, then I can actually see the energy shifting. And then they are more eager to really learn what pleases and makes me happy. Versus if I am not really appreciative, then they are just shutting down because they will feel, okay, there's no point and I better avoid any conflicts really. So I hope that this video helps to understand the difference between communicating from a place of demand to a place of desire, really, and how it can shift and really create more romance and the start of polarity in the relationship if you feel that, oh, there's been long gone the romance and, him taking initiative, taking to a date. If you feel that this has been long gone, then try this because it makes a huge difference actually. And if you find yourself in a place that actually it's more difficult, because let's say that you have been very disconnected for a long time, or that you guys are fighting and arguing all the time and no one feels seen or heard or understood, and you're really frustrated and even resentful about the dynamic, I would actually recommend my program, Relationship Rewired, the 6-week connection reset, because in that program, I teach how to change this dynamic, this already tense energy between you, and actually create a couple bubble where there's more emotional safety, emotional connection, and then you can also help you rebuild really this polarity and attraction between you and your husband or boyfriend. So I hope that this content helped, and stay tuned for more content.